Welcome to the Business Buyer Diaries. My name is Nathan Platter. I'm a full-time employee, and I bought a business. I did everything right, from finding the deal, handling all the due diligence on 63 opportunities, and ultimately bought a profitable gym. And boy, was I in for a big surprise as a new owner. I chronicled everything in real time, including the biggest wins to the stressful nights at 2 a.m. I'm sharing my journey without sugarcoating anything, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Here's today's episode. So I want to talk about some openness and transparency kind of stuff today. And I've seen it in a few different settings in life, but it's just an area that let me openly talk about secrets. So that's kind of a weird conundrum. But I heard something, so at work, I work at a big tech company, and it's happened a couple times, just super randomly, but there might be a real or a perceived lawsuit where someone or somebody is accusing the company of certain actions that are illegal, or not illegal, that are just not up to par. I don't know what the right term would be, but not being done the right way. And so then there'll be a document that's called a hold control, or a data control thing. Basically, the company will send something internally to their employees saying, hey, just so you know, there's this thing happening. Your name is listed with a handful of other names. If you've worked on projects relating to X or Y or Z, please do not delete anything, do not hide anything, don't archive it, anything. Hey, these are records that need to be preserved. I think that's what it is. It's a digital company, so we have no paper, but don't shred it or burn the paper, don't delete files. If certain evidence or records are needed, or in a discovery, maybe that's what it is, a discovery control. Just keep them handy. And so it's one of those. It also says in there, don't talk about it to other people about this particular case on this topic or the other individuals. If you have questions, talk to the legal team. Happy to guide you wherever, whatever. And it's just interesting because you see the list of names. You're okay, cool. I can't talk to these other people, but yet we're all in the same basket case. I can talk to a lawyer internally, but that's a little spooky. Lawyers are kind of scary. They take you to court, they sue you, they get you in trouble. Lawyers are real. That's a common perception people have of lawyers, and so it's just kind of interesting. And so that was just something intriguing. And with the studio going forward, it'll have to be one of those things. I'm sure something like that will someday happen. Hey, based on some activity or some allegations or whatever, you just can't talk about it. Don't even bring up that this is a thing. And so that's just an interesting thing, because you'll never talk to a business owner. It's hey, tell me about lawsuits. Because in the back of their head, they'll be thinking, oh, I can't talk about it. They'll say, I don't know a whole lot. Or they'll say, yeah, F it, I'll tell you all you want to know. But they won't disclose the details, the behind the scenes, their side of the story. It's just really interesting how people can be open and transparent, but they also could be bound up by secrets, either because they've been told to, or they sense they have to for whatever reason. And that's just really fascinating. And so, I don't know. It reminds me of something I saw once on the History Channel, where they talked to gang members, but their voices crowded or blocked out, their faces blacked out, and you don't know, you can't tell who the person is, but they're oh yeah, when you join this gang, you have to sacrifice a squirrel, or you have to go do whatever. And the people that are telling you the behind the scenes secrets are probably not legit. It's the groups you don't know about that have their own internal code of ethics that don't blabber out loud, that are real. One final thought, and I'll shut it up for the day. But there's someone I knew that at one point in my life, and after years and years of just relationship, kind of recently, they acknowledged oh yeah, I actually did work. I don't remember that agency, but a very top secret government agency. And at one point in their life, they did some very covert stuff. And at the time in my life when I had suspicion, hey, you've had some wild stories. Did you ever work for an agency or a group or a department or whatever? And he just looked at me dead. I'll never forget it. He looked me dead in the eye. He said, "Those who know, don't tell." And I froze. I felt a chill run through my spine. And it was so real. And so to this podcast, yes, I'm living through it. So of course I'm telling, but people could say, oh, those who know don't tell. Nathan's full of it. He's making up everything he's going through. Make your own decisions, but it's just interesting. The real folks that live real scary stuff are not going to tell you. And if they do tell you, they'll tell you 10%, 20%. We'll be generous and say they tell you 80%. You're never going to hear 100%, especially if it's scary stuff. Like, they're not going to tell you what it's like to work for a gang on the History Channel. Like, they're just going to expose themselves and get stabbed or something. I don't know. It's just fascinating how the world of secrets and openness operate. And so, just a few random life combos, stuff at work, just an interesting thing to ponder. So, heading back home. It's been a heck of a day. Gonna enjoy it with my kiddos. We're gonna enjoy life one day at a time. That's where we're at. That's where we're going. Let's rock and roll. This has been another episode of the Business Buyer Diaries. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I hope you're realizing that business ownership is no cakewalk. Check the podcast notes for a link to the DIY due diligence program, the complete list of show sponsors, and for media inquiries. Music written and composed by Wes Schrock. I'm your host, Nathan Platter. Join me again on the next one.